Yay! And on the line, I should have my guest, Nandita Lal, who's a socialist, abolitionist, independent for Tottenham. Can you hear me, Nandita?
Yes, I can, Judith. Hi, thank you for having me.
It is my absolute pleasure. This is great because I am a Tottenhamite and you are trying to represent us in Tottenham. But before we go into that, my first question to you is the same question I ask everybody.
Yeah.
Who would you give credit to for making you the person that you are? It could be a friend, a teacher, or a grandfather, but whoever it is, their full name, and why would you give them credit?
Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that. Well, I would give full credit to my parents. My mom, Nita Lal, she's a doctor. She lives in India with my dad. And yeah, I've been living away from them for a long time, but
Mm,
they have given me a lot of strength and courage. So I would say that.
good. Well, let's big up your parents. You said your mother's name. What was your father's name?
My father's name is Deepak.
Deepak. Thank you so much. So, how many siblings have you got, and where did you grow up?
So I have one sibling. I have an older brother, and I grew up in India. I was born in this city in India called Lucknow, and then I grew up in Delhi, which is the capital of India.
Yes.
And then I moved here in 2010 to do my master's. I was studying economics, and then I started working. I started working as a journalist, writing on energy markets.
Mm.
And in 2012, I met my husband, who's British, and I just ended up staying. So now I've been here for about 14
14
years,
years. Yeah.
lived in Tottenham for 10 years.
Ah,
I have
interesting.
two young children, so yeah, that's been life.
I love that. So, okay, so you were studying economics, you said, right, when you came
Yes,
here.
yeah.
So
I
what
studied economics. I also did a diploma in law in the UK.
so what drew you to politics then? When did you think this is an interesting aspect of life?
Well, I'm not a politician. I have no political background.
Right?
What drew me was just not wanting to see a live stream genocide. I think that was what really has been the call, that we have to protect these children in Gaza. We have to protect the Palestinian children. We don't want to see more amputee children. We don't want to see children with no surviving families left. So I think becoming a mother and then just seeing these children suffer, and these children who look very much like my children,
Mm.
that has led me to politics.
So it was Palestine that drew you into wanting to have a voice and speak up.
Correct. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So,
So I come out of this group called Haringey and Tottenham Palestine Action.
right.
We are a grassroots group. We started in October last year. And now, like, our WhatsApp has more than 700 people, Instagram has more than 1,000 people, and most of them are Tottenham citizens, residents who are just appalled at what's happening. And we've done so many things just in these 8 months. We've been to David Lammy's LBC radio show in central London, protested outside that. We've had two demos outside Bernie Grant Art Center. One was when Lammy and Stama were supposed to visit, but they canceled because we were outside.
Yes, of
One was
course.
during question time, just in April. And we have a petition going on for calling Haringey Council to divest from any businesses which are linked to arms and to, being complicit in genocide, basically. And we started that petition in February, and that has been stonewalled by the council. So I came out from this group. We had this community assembly. We had two of them, one in April, one in May. May 8th was the last one, which like 100 people attended. We leafleted for it before. It was a public event. And then from that assembly was where we got the mandate, where people said, we want someone who is a socialist, who's an anti-imperialist, who'll stand up for Palestine and stand up for suffering all over the world and here in the UK. And David Lammy does not represent us. So that's what came out of there. And then I was just a reserve candidate. But then we had the snap elections announced. So that's how it happened. And now I'm here.
Yeah, there you are. You are now the voice.
Yeah, I'm now the voice.
I do like that. So yeah, Palestine is on the top of a lot of people's, as well as the Congo, to be fair.
Hmm.
But Palestine gets the most publicity that's going out there. And yes, we don't wish to see those images, and you know, it'd be great to be able to have a voice. But for the people in Tottenham, because if you're running for Tottenham, is Palestine the main driving force, or because I know there are other?
Yeah, so you mentioned Congo, and I think for us it's really important to draw the connections, why all our sufferings are connected, why the global oppression is connected. So Congo has a very deep colonial history, just like Palestine. So it was actually Belgian Congo till 1960. And then there was a great guy, Patrice Lumumba,
That's
who
right.
became, yeah, and then he was assassinated by the coalition of Western Europe, so UK, France, and now Congo is suffering from neocolonialism. It's got such material wealth. So what's happening in Congo, what's happening in Palestine, was happening in Sudan, they're all connected.
Yeah.
And they're all connected to capitalism, which is supported by the three pillars, which are colonialism, neocolonialism, and imperialism. It's so important to draw these lines. I think that's why the young have so much to say about Palestine, because they see all these connections. They see that, you know, capitalism isn't offering them much. They are going to have to rent houses which are moldy for the rest of their lives. You know, so it is very much connected to the issues here. People in Tottenham don't want to be socially cleansed. They don't want to pay such high rents for really bad accommodation while housing keeps getting privatized. And then who benefits from this privatization? It's, you know, again, the corporations, you know, just tying that back to why do corporates have this say? Because we are in a global capitalist system, which is driven by the growth of profit. That's their only motive. It's to keep growing for profit, not anybody's health in mind or the
No.
welfare of the people or the welfare of nature, nothing. So the Palestinian movement has just led to lots of groups just coming together, I think, because of the brazen refusal of the political elite to engage with it. And I guess for Tottenham, it's such an issue because David Lammy represents us, who's going to be the future foreign secretary, who is very pro-Israel, and
They
you know,
all are, aren't
from
they?
from Tottenham with such a anti-racist history with Bernie Grant,
Yes.
and just doesn't represent us at all, and he's so unpopular here.
He has become
Um,
extremely unpopular,
he,
particularly because he has kept the same. I mean, he was losing it anyway, but the Palestine whole thing has just brought it right to the front by him just repeating it. But we also know that Keir Starmer has made it so that anybody that says anything pro-Palestine, they get their whip removed from them.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
not that I'm saying that he would have tried to have said anything, because I don't know.
No, no, he wouldn't have tried. Diane Abbott tried.
Yes.
She has had a pro-Palestine stance. Jeremy Corbyn has had, and we've seen how they have been treated. And I think David Lammy won a lot of votes in 2017 and in 2019, both times, because Tottenham was such a fan of Jeremy Corbyn.
Absolutely.
So I think there is real appetite for change here, and we just wanted to be part of the movement. We just wanted to be part of this thought that we don't want to be taken for granted. So that's how we connect Palestine to Tottenham.
Okay, I want to bring us to Tottenham in a minute, because as much as we all are affected by Palestine, we are also living here and want
Hmm.
changes made for here. This is me just being ignorant to this question because I'm not sure. So you will be an MP, and because if you're not associated with a party, how would your voice be heard?
So as an MP, I would get to vote in any bills. I can introduce more bills. And that's how an MP's voice is heard. So I would be representing always in favor of the working class. So something like the Renters Reform Bill, which is very pertinent to Tottenham.
Yes.
It didn't pass through the Tory government, and we expect something, a watered down version, to go through the next Labour government. I can vote on important issues like the ceasefire vote.
Right.
And so that's how your local MP can have a voice
Yes.
in Parliament. And also, I guess it just shows that there is so much will of the people who are sick of the two-party system, who want to see actual people who live in their constituencies represent them. So, Jeremy Corbyn is running as an independent
Yes,
right
he
now, and there's
is.
so much support for him, for people to take time off their day and go out and canvass and leaflet for him. And I'm seeing the same thing. I have an amazing team, and everyone is just volunteering here for me as well, because they want to see a change so
Yeah, people
much.
are passionate about where they live and wanting to see a change, and
Exactly.
not having a voice as it is, because we have the two parties, but they seem to have the same voice, it's just different colours. And Jeremy Corbyn, when he went as an independent, I was really hoping that he was going to set up a party. Then people would have been able to go, that's where we want to put our votes. He didn't do that, and that's fair enough. He doesn't have to do that. But you're also doing an independent.
But he said he's not going anywhere. I actually think he will retain his Islington North
I
seat.
think so as well, because he's been a
So
genuine human being all the time.
exactly, yeah. And it's not just him. We have more number of independents standing all over UK for the first time than
Yes.
ever before. And I think that just shows that people want grassroots voices. They want to know that who is representing them actually lives there, has their surgeries there. Like, we don't see David Lamb. He doesn't respond to emails. He doesn't come to a local surgery. So that is definitely missing, right?
Yes.
He doesn't know what Tottenham people really want, what they care about. He doesn't understand the issues of moldy homes, or how many food banks there in Tottenham. Like, why do people have to rely so much on that? So,
And amazingly, that food banks has become part of just normality. Why should
yes,
it be a normality? And nobody has addressed that as
no,
people
no,
in the
no.
government to just say this shouldn't be our normality. And people are working and still having to rely on food banks. It shouldn't be.
Yeah, in fact, Labour Party is not going to do away with the two-child cap, which has
No.
been the major contributor of child poverty and hunger. It's such an easy win. Who wants to see children go hungry? It just shows the lack of any moral compass right now in any political party. The whole party system has been just hijacked by private interests.
Yeah.
And you have, Keir Starmer, like billionaires boasting about the fact that they have got rid of the left
Yes.
in Labour. I don't know if you saw, there was an interview by John Cordwell where he was like, "Oh, what Keir has done is he's taken the left out of Labour," and he was saying that so proudly.
It's very much so,
um,
because what we've got now, we've got the Conservative government are really, they're the same as what used to be Reform. They are the same. So we've got the extreme right wing with the Conservative, and then we've got right wing with Labour. So we don't have any left-wing things happening really that will represent the majority of the people. And what they're very brilliant is by making the people hate their own selves and vote against stuff that is actually for you. And I was talking about legal aid before. We've managed to get rid of that because we've managed to say about one or two people who maybe shouldn't have got legal aid, but they did. But we don't stop it just because two people have got it that they shouldn't have done. And so we vote against ourselves, and that happens a lot.
yeah.
So you are one of 10 candidates that are representing Tottenham. I mean, that's quite a lot of candidates standing up. And of course, Lammy is one of those 10 candidates. Now, you've got 5 things that you've mentioned: housing and living well for all, action on the climate emergency, divesting from arms, investing in people, and healthy communities are not work, and safe community, not more authoritarian policy. So
Policing, yeah.
police. That's it, policing. I can't even read my own writing. So, so how do we plan to work on any of those ones that I've mentioned?
Let's start with climate.
Right.
So the climate emergency has been declared by the UK, but nothing is happening. Labour had like $1 billion plan, which they completely rolled back on. And
The only thing they've rolled back on, but
yeah,
yes.
exactly. It's not the only thing they've rolled back on, but it is a major issue. And again, it's the young people who are really scared about their futures. I'm scared about my children's future. In UK, it's predicted we're going to have never-ending rain because of climate change.
Yes, it's already starting this non-stop rain, but anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Our food supply will be under threat. More people will get displaced. It requires some long-term vision. It requires, actually questioning the systems. It requires transformation of like actual conditions. So again, these are the topics that have not been touched on at all by the two parties. There are children in Gaza who are dying because they have a heat stroke in their tents in Gaza, because the tents are made of nylon and they are just straps. It becomes like a greenhouse.
Yes.
In my birth country in India, you have fish boiling alive in water because the water is 40 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah, and you have bats falling out of, I've got some pictures on my phone from people back home saying, yeah, birds are dying from the sky. So this has to be an emergency. We have to keep all new oil in the ground. It's just so important. We have to massively tax any luxury consumption. We have to ban private jets. There has to be a real transformation in society. We have, I don't know, like 53 families in UK, which hold half of the, richest 50 families in UK hold more than half of the wealth in UK. This wealth has to be redistributed in a nature-friendly way. And we all have to become more attuned with nature.
I agree. And the thing about climate change is that they keep trying to let it be us, as in what we can do. But actually, it is bigger than us. It is. You just said about private jets. Well, nobody ever talks about that. It is stop cutting down all the forests out there. There are big things that needs to be stopped. And it's not just us recycling stuff. It is big changes that has to be made. But, we are in a capitalist world and we keep getting scaremongered, as in if we do stuff like that, rich people will leave. Now, somehow that seems to be a big thing, that rich people will leave. What is your take on this, that we must cater to keep rich people happy?
I think that, so what if they leave? And it's such a bogus argument because, again, if 50 families in the UK hold more than half of the wealth, clearly they're doing really well here. If you look at any of the extraction that has happened from the global south to the global north, it's devastating. Or look at anything that you're consuming right now. So if you're wearing, say, a Nike jumper, it's made by, I don't know, cotton grown in India. Then that has been sewn together by a child or a woman in Bangladesh. And then it comes here. What does Nike do? It just literally puts its brand on it and then gets all the money.
Yeah, and then it's upped by a whole lot of money, not just a little.
A whole lot of money, exactly. And then what is all the destruction that has happened because of Nike's value chain? That, where they have grown cotton, whether they have displaced some indigenous people there, they're not going to take the brunt of it. And we want to change that. Corporations have to be responsible instead of what we can't recycle our way out of it.
No, we
That's
can't.
not going to happen.
We can't recycle our way, and keep putting the onus on us so that we don't ever have to stop. And again, it comes back to capitalism. It's about making the money and making sure that the people that are getting their dividends and their big money keeps getting it, and then we should be happy that they don't leave the country, because apparently that's a very important thing.
That's just a disingenuous argument. I think a lot of the arguments that the political class make, if you just scratch it a little bit, then you realize that it's quite hollow. and they don't really have much to back it. I
No.
think that's also what causes a lot of political cynicism. We don't want to watch these debates. We don't want to watch any interviews with Keir Starmer or Sunak in it, because we know that they're lying. It's so obvious that they're lying. It's so
Yes.
obvious that they're just paying lip service. So
Well, their mouths are
uh,
moving, so it does let you know straight away that they are lying. But we got, how would we do the de-investing from arms? I mean, obviously investing in people
mhm.
is a bread, but how can we get that? Because I know that Jeremy Corbyn had mentioned that before, and then he's been called a pacifist because he doesn't think that we should be bombing places. So how can we get to that stage of de-investing from arms?
So it's just like tobacco industry was, harming people,
Good
and
call.
we learn how to tackle that industry. We can do that the same with fossil fuels and the same with arms. Now, US military is the biggest polluter in the world.
Yes.
US military has lots of bases in the UK. We have to join the dots. Like, why are we investing so much in military? Because they're warmongering. David Lammy, he says he's an Atlanticist, which means that he wants closer ties with the US, basically.
Okay.
And the way that's going to happen is by closer ties and a rising military state. And, that is really not in the interest of us. It causes a lot of climate change because the carbon impact of militaries is huge. Right now, Israel has dropped more bombs in Gaza than in World War II.
That's such an amazing
Uh,
thing to think, though, isn't it?
yes,
Then,
yeah,
then a
yeah.
whole war, and in that
So
space of
we
time.
so we need no more military expansion. We don't want a NATO expansion. We don't want more war. We need, healing and transformation.
But that's
Yeah.
really because what you're saying is in total contradiction to what has been said. Because what has
Yes.
been said is we do need to invest more into NATO. We need to give more money for more bombs, for more stuff, because we have got a weak nation. This is what I was listening to. We've got a weak nation because we have not got enough arms, and we should be investing in more arms for us to be
Hmm.
a strong nation. So how can we counteract that? Because that is
Exactly.
the argument that is being put out right now.
We lose our moral compass because we keep on listening to these arguments by the so-called free media, and we think this is normal. It's not. We should not be spending $200 billion on Trident. We can spend that money into libraries, into community centers,
Into
into,
people being able to
actually,
eat.
yes, looking after each other, not having food banks.
Yes, yes,
Uh, but we are made to think that it's constant fight or flight, that
yeah.
that if this doesn't happen, then so yeah, we are already a military state and we don't need more military. So this is what I'm going to advocate for as an MP, that we don't need more war. This world doesn't need more war at all. And we need a drastic reduction in military expenditure. And this is the exact opposite of what Tory and Labour's have again said. They both said that we should increase our military expenditure.
Yeah, well,
And
and
yeah.
it's all because of Ukraine, really. And everybody's saying, well, look what's happened to Ukraine, and would we be able to fight off Russia? But it is always about how much we can bomb before we talk. And always the only way war ends is by talking. But that doesn't seem to
Hmm.
be the first port of call. And
Yeah.
it makes you somehow a really weird person that you don't want to have war first.
There has to be a radical change. And there's some great research. Actually, there's someone who said that we can repurpose all the military bases all over the world to provide housing to people and have displaced people live there. And I was like, yes, why not? Why should we be having these military bases where, which are going to be used in war? We don't need more war. We don't need it at all. And we've seen what war can do. We've seen it being live streamed to us for the last 8 months, and it's
Yes.
horrific. It's
Yeah.
horrific.
But there's a lot of
Uh,
money in war. There is
there
a,
is a lot of money in war.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. BAE Systems has a massive presence. You can see its advertising when you're in Westminster Station. So why is BAE advertising in Westminster Station then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly. So we were going through those points. Yeah, we don't need more war. We have to drastically go down on our military expenditure, which is again tied to capitalism because who is gaining from war? It is again private enterprises like
Yes.
BAE Systems, like Elbit Systems. They are going to make money from war.
All the time.
Um,
And they got stocks and shares in there as well. So there is a lot of money to
exactly.
be made. And what about
And
the
that is
police?
one of the things that the campaign group also did to get a Harringay pension fund to divest, because from our research, we found out that they were invested in Lockheed, in Honeywell, in Elbit, and in BAE. So these are all organizations that provide military to the state of Israel.
Yes. And it's all about
Yeah.
money. But then let's talk about the policing.
Yes.
Now that's,
Policing. So,
yes.
yes. Again, transformation, why, and think of why are there conditions that we need such harsh policing, punishment, and why can't we imagine a future without these prisons, police, and punishment? Because we know that who is policed. I mean, in Tottenham, we know who's policed,
We
right,
too. We
Judith?
do. Yes.
Yes. And again, coming back to David Lammy, he has, I think he said in one of his interviews that Tottenham doesn't have enough caring fathers or something as to why there were riots. I mean, that's completely, you completely are missing the point.
Well, you are, if
There,
that's what he's talking about, when
yes,
actually it was about police brutality and the murders of what's been
yes,
happening.
yeah,
So
yeah.
totally missing the
Exactly,
point.
and the idea to think that the police is not racist is also such a disingenuous idea, because the police exists to protect capital, to protect private
Yeah.
property. It's not existing to protect us. I'm also part of Tottenham Cop Watch, another Tottenham grassroots organization,
Okay.
and we look out for people who at tube stations have been stopped and searched by police and tell them that this is your rights. You don't have to give your name.
Oh,
Some
excellent.
education around that. And also we were doing a campaign around public sector PSPOs. I don't know if you know, but this
No, I
was like a
don't.
Haringey Council consultation where basically they are planning to introduce these measures where they can fine people up to £1,000 for any antisocial behavior. And again, if you
Where's the
look at
money
the
coming from that, and what's deemed antisocial behavior, you know?
exactly, exactly. It's again another way of telling people who look like us that you have to stay in line.
Yeah.
And it's very related to all the anti-protest bill that also came. And, they want to basically do down with any dissent. Yeah, that is something I'm against. I think that there is a future possible which doesn't rely on such harsh carceral prison punishment systems. So
That's going to be a tough one to call because that is exactly what's been demanded, more prisons to be built.
yes,
And
exactly. It's
so,
again, just like the military expenditure on all manifestos, I think, except Green, who said that they want some reforms in probation, etc. That, they're talking about more police presence.
yeah,
Yeah.
that seems to be our thing. Now, we're going to run out of time soon. But
Okay.
so somebody said, why should I vote for you? What would you say?
I'd want to say that we are a community of people who've come for collective liberation, not just Palestine, but Sudan, Congo. We are all against the same enemy, the same oppressor. Capitalism that I talked about,
Yes.
imperialism, colonialism, neocolonialism. And this is like a community movement. This is not about me. This is about finding each other in Tottenham, connecting with all the communities across the UK, connecting with the student movement, and building a really strong base. And what I can promise you in return is that you'll get a lot of solidarity. You'll get a lot of community on your side. You'll get more friendships, more relationships, and working class solidarity, which is what we are missing. Actually, capitalism does lead to a lot of alienation. It leads to us just being too busy to build these community relationships.
Yeah.
And it makes us just not rely on each other, which is what is essential for our survival. We are all all for each other. So I
Okay.
think that's what I want to say. What will come out of it is that you'll be part of this amazing movement. And it's a grassroots movement. And we want to say what Tottenham stands for. We might not agree on all things, but we can learn, unlearn, educate, elevate, and yeah, take it from there.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you,
Honestly.
Judith.
No,
Thank you
you.
for.
And all the best for the 4th of
Thank you.
July, you know?
Yes, I hope you put Lal on your ballot box.
That's what we want to put people out there. Lal is the name to be listening to. That's my guest right now. Nandita, thank you so, so much for sharing with us. Really
No
important
worries.
to touch base with us here. So thank you so much and all the best. And hopefully we'll speak again soon. Hopefully
Speak
after the
again
4th of
soon,
July.
Judith. Thank you so much. Bye.
Take care, my lovely. Bye-bye. So that was my guest, Nandita Lal. She is running for Tottenham to represent us as an MP. She's running as an independent. And you've heard the stuff that she was talking about, which is all about housing, mainly if we think about it. Capitalism is the main thing that makes everything run as to why wars should be happening and why we must hate ourselves, because if we don't, the rich people will leave England. Oh, that's absolutely terrible. Can you imagine that? They're all leaving.